Kamala Harris voters, our best days are ahead of us. Listen, I'm going to break down 3 core things, and then I'm going to break down another 3 bombshells I've never said online before. In fact, I've only had private calls about this, non-recorded about this, okay? So let's go. First of all, you need to understand something real clearly. This man is failing himself to the bottom. He's on the bottom side of this. He's dead, whether it be politically or physically. He's out the door. So people sense it. They're rats like deserting ships. Over 40 Congress people are leaving this guy, okay? There's already trials going on. They're getting ready to kick off trials through the Senate hearings on these murders that they're doing with Hexef in international waters. And that's just the beginning of it. I mean, this whole Epstein thing is leading the way. And he's going to try to probably redact this shit, but the truth is, there are people already with the Epstein files. Has anybody told you that? No, seriously. They're on the left and the right. They're with the Epstein files. Somebody's going to leak it. And the lawyers are going to be like, the victim's lawyers are going to be like, yeah, that looks what it looks like. Look like they leaked the whole thing. Unofficially, they're going to say something. We're going to find out what's really going on. Probably the communication about him with the girls. Maybe they'll have pictures. That'll be the grand coup d'etat that they have pictures. And he's on his way out the door. And that's nothing but win-win-win for us. Even if he's just weakened with this and continues to be weakened and considered a lame duck president, all's better because we pull the legislative branch back. I'm not saying the conservatives are going to be on our side when it comes to things, but they're going to be more in their own mind instead of his mind and what he says, which is absolutely crazy. Plus, his dementia breakdown is showing up every single day. How they let this man get away with this is amazing. But what we also know is thing number 2, and that is he's in trouble with the law as it relates to grifting. It's grifting on the on the blockchain, which is a public digital ledger. You can't hide money on the public digital ledger. And then all the things that he's done with the money, as far as relationships and the grifting, these people are going to jail. A lot of them going to jail. Thing number 3, he's breaking international and domestic law. How do we know? Because there's been hundreds of judges against him. Both Trump appointed, Bush appointed, both Bushes and Reagan appointed judges. Do you realize there's now as we discovered this week, about nearly 1,400 cases, 700 of which, half of which are immigration. That deportation of American citizens, and he just deported another migrant person who was here legally, and the court said, don't do that. Don't do that. We got to have a trial. You can't do that. Due process, you can't do that. He did it anyway. He gives no fucks. He's on his end game. He's on his out game. He don't care. He feel like he's got nothing to lose. And what the courts have got to do is start saying, fuck you, you in contempt, somebody's going to jail and we're going to whip that ass. And they do have the power to do that, y'all. The problem that you come across here is that you don't know the history operation laws of our government, so you start thinking, why is he able to get away with this? He's not. He's not getting away, he's getting a weight for it. That means it took them years to get Nixon. They're going to get his ass. It's on like a motherfucker. Let's keep going. The other things that are really great that we're seeing is that finally, with the exception of the caving of the 8 Democrats, one of which my own Senator Dick Durbin, God, he caved twice, both shutdowns. Other than that, there has been a better turnout for people to fight back. But the problem with the Democrats is all of them having the courage to jump on Schumer, jump on Jeffries and say, get the fuck out. Seriously, that's not the way you get rid of them is through the fellow members of the House and the fellow members of Senate. So it's not just all Schumer and Jeffrey being the problem. It's the groups that are allowing that shit to happen. And when Elizabeth Warren starts doing these videos talking about, oh, let's all stick together. No, chick. It's not us sticking together. It's you and all of these other senators kicking out Chuck. It's all of these other House of Representatives getting together and kicking out Jeffries. This is ridiculous. But the good news behind this is that we've seen a clear dividing line between the progressives and the traditionalists. We got to get these traditionalists out. Get on indivisible.org. You know, they point in Kamala's campaign. When I worked on the campaign, Kamala's campaign is the one that told me about indivisible.org. I hadn't even heard of them except for last year, November. I've been with them for a year, watching what they do. And they've been on point. And one of the biggest things they're talking about doing in early 2026 is going into the primaries and seeing, okay, who's really down for our cause? Because just because you're a Democrat ain't good enough. You feel what I'm saying? That's absolutely ridiculous. But the good news is we have our eyes open, our third eye open on that one, right? The other thing we have to understand that better days are coming is that 70% of Donald Trump's cabinet are going to jail. It is my prediction that 70% of his cabinet is going to jail. Why not 100%? Because the other 30% is going to turn state's evidence on him. Who do I think is going to jail unless they turn state's evidence? Here's the list. Well, Trump, he's in trouble. Nothing he can do about that unless he either dies or he's somehow able to crocodile throw enough people up under the bus. But at the very top of that list is Elon Musk, who went into 30 different departments, and Trump won't be able to save him, neither will JD. This is all stuff that happens either after their administration, so no one can pardon them, or this can happen through the states who come after them, because you can't get pardons when you're state convicted. And Trump's in trouble being state convicted over Epstein's list and those little girls he's been messing around with. If they catch that he's done any of that in New York, Letitia James is coming like the Empire State Strikes Back. Here's the other thing you need to understand. There's a whole list of people who fall below that. Can J.D. Vance go to jail? Well, to my knowledge, and I've been watching a whole lot all year to see, and all he's done is talk. You can't go to jail for talk. He hasn't done anything, but you can go to talk. If he can be tied into any of these policies that were illegal, then get his ass too. Same thing with Marco Rubio. The worst thing Marco Rubio did is work a deal with the president of El Salvador to turn in people who turned state's evidence to the United States against El Salvador. So basically, you got witnesses. Part of the State Department program you turned in and sent those people to their death. That was Marco Rubio. He's got blood on his hands. For real. He just turned into a whole nother person. Sold out under the Trump regime like a motherfucker. Now, let's talk about some of these real people who go to jail. At the top, Steve Miller. Steve Miller was on the list for both Raul Garcia and for these the Alien Enemies Act deportation with Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg and Judge Zenitz for the Garcia cases had him on the list. They were about to put them in contempt with Garcia in 48 hours. They got Garcia back here when they said they couldn't bring him back. Game on, motherfucker. Game on. Now, here's the other person. There's a whole list of top people. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi covered up where Tom Homan's borders are, okay? Accepted $50,000 from federal agents. Pam Bondi could go to jail. Tom Homan could go to jail. He should be in jail right now. Who's next on that list? Well, I'd probably say at the top below them and I've already mentioned Elon, but somewhere in there I should have mentioned Doge. I think I did. Because here's the thing. They're going to get Doge to get Elon. That's the truth. That's how they're going to get him. And then, of course, anything they have to do with the 2024 election should get real interesting. Keep your eye on the Doge members. See if they don't have accidents. Remember, you heard it here first. Remember, they just dismantled Doge, trying to cover up the evidence. There's another group of people that are obviously going to jail by the thousands, and that's ICE. ICE is so stupid. These guys are thugs who don't even realize that they're thugs, and they're so stupid because they're going to get caught up. saying, oh, I was just following orders. Y'all slamming people around, shooting at priests. Y'all doing the craziest shit ever. Oh, and they got you. You think wearing a mask gonna cover it in today's facial identities? People have already doxed you. I mean, just good old-fashioned doxing. Like, hey, that's Bill. I know that's Bill. That looks just like Bill. They catch you. They're gonna catch you. And they're going to jail. And they have to lawyer up, but they're going to jail en masse just like the January 6th people going to jail. Speaking of which, they can go back to jail too. Now keep in mind, much of this is after the Trump administration, whether it be JD because Trump is gone or Trump there, doesn't matter. They're going to jail. It will take 164 weeks to start this going, but they got all the stuff in writing. Why do you think all these impeachments keep coming up through Congress? Because they want it in the records, they want it in the books, so that they can pull that bad boy out real quick when it's time to pull it out on Trump. But the same thing goes for everybody else. They're setting all of this stuff for the record so they can make sure everybody knows what's going on. The other people that are going to jail are going to be Kristi Noem and, like I said, Hegseth going to jail for those murders with the Caribbean, and he could be going to jail for national security secrets leaked. Same thing for Tulsi Gabbard. But then Kristi Noem's going to jail behind this whole, corruption with the planes, the, grifting, and not to mention everything she's done illegally in the deportation of American citizens. Her name is on shit. And it could go down like that. And they're so arrogant. They don't see it, or they just, they realize it and they can't get out. So who else? There's a whole bunch. People out the State Department, out of Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, the whole nine. They're in trouble. You can't be doing this shit. This illegal shit. People at those detention facilities. Oh, it is on big time. If they think they're getting away with this shit, they're wrong. Given that all these people going to jail, who will not go to jail? The people who won't go to jail are the people who can leverage state's evidence against everybody else. For instance, Pam Bondi should be going to jail. But if she throws all of her prosecutors under the bus, she could skip out of here. Or she could really go skip out of here, go off to some non-extradition country. So could Elon. So could possibly Doge if they got some money to go and do that. But what I'm saying is that 70% going under. So that's good news, Kamala Harris voters. Here's the other good news, Kamala Harris voters. I want you to get and understand. I believe with 100%, I even put money on it under Cauchy, that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States. She's in position. She's the most qualified. They're not going to be messing around with the election this time. No satellites in the sky, baby. Why do you think satellites been coming crashing down to the ground all this time, covering evidence up? Will they ever get them for this election stuff? Only way they're going to get them is through Doge. Doge and Elon, because they know what's going on. They know what's going on. That'll be the only one. Less people, like I said, watch Doge to see if anybody has any accidents. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. Stop expecting Kamala Harris to come back in the middle of this presidency. It ain't happening. Every lawyer I've talked to and seen and heard from, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. But I said that last year. This time last year, I was begging creators, please, online, please stop doing the conspiracy that something's going to happen by December 5th. I said, no, it ain't, bitch. No, it ain't. I wish, but it ain't happening. Then I had to say all during this year, well, do you think Kamala Harris could come back? And I had to say no, publicly and privately in my group. I had to tell people, no, it ain't happening. The reason it ain't happening is that just there's no law to unseat a president in that way. That's why I'm happy about Epstein, because Epstein could get him unseated. Grifting could get him unseated, but the Epstein one is way more hotter and could get him unseated and could get Congress behind it on both sides. So the way I'm looking at things, I'm like, okay, maybe we can get this guy out out the door in a couple of months with Epstein. Whether he shows the files or not. If he redacts them, it's going to be his ass and it's over for real. Oh, it gets so much better, Kamala Harris voters. Here's the other thing to understand. We're going to have the Senate and the House majority in 2026. It's happening. Oh, but they're going to try to steal the election. No, they're not. No, they're not. That day is over. Everybody sees it coming. See, we got three types of allies. We got the federal judges and the lower courts, which handle 99% of the cases. Fuck the Supreme Court because they only handle 1%. And they can't take on everything. Perfect example of them being overloaded. They didn't take on the gay marriage, even though they would have had the majority vote. Why didn't they do that? They're overwhelmed. They got too much as it is. And there's, like I said, 1,400 cases out there. They can't take on everything. Can't happen. What else do we know? We got hundreds of nonprofits out there that I think are really doing a great job, whether it be the NAACP, ACLU, Indivisible, a whole bunch, hundreds, from the national to your local areas. If you want to support something, fuck the DNC, support them. DNC is $1 billion institution. Fuck them. Fuck them. And fuck National Act Blue and all that bullshit. Support, give money directly to local, really, and when I say local, I'm talking about city, anybody you think in your city, anybody in adjoining cities, anybody in the counties, parishes, and in the state first. And then start looking at national. But if you're doing national, like somebody you want to run for Congress against, find a way to give them money around Act Blue. Act Blue is acting funny. I'm not feeling them. Here's the other thing I want you to understand too. That's really great news. Not only are we dealing with a majority, but now we're dealing with more progressive people. And that goes back to what I said about Indivisible being in touch with this whole scenario. Because Indivisible is coming in as well. Here's some bombshell stuff that I haven't said before. Because I've talked about some core things that are, that make us happy, knowing that he's going down through Epstein, knowing that Congress is turning away from him, knowing that the grifting could get him underground, knowing that, his mind is breaking apart and it's making things worse and dragging and bleeding the whole damn party. But here's some bombshell things that most people don't know about and I've never mentioned before. Do you know there's been conversations? Of course, there's conversations among judges. Of course, there's conversations among nonprofits. Of course, there's conversations among the governors. That's the third group. I said the judges, I said the nonprofit, the governors and attorney generals. And of course, they're talking, communicating, come back. That's our real Democratic leadership, the 20 plus governors and attorney generals. They've been representing more than Congress. Fuck Congress. But here's the thing you should know. The counties and precincts have been talking. The counties and parishes have been talking across the nation. Why is that important? Because the operations of our voters registration. Here's the bombshell. Two things are going to save this country. One is going to be our election officials who come in and look over the election, whether they're in red or blue states. They saved us in 2020. They're going to save us again because whether they were in a red state or a blue state, they don't like these motherfuckers. And they've seen how the Trump administration has treated civil servants in America. I mean, they fired thousands of postal employees, FBI, CIA. No, that leads me to the last group. And this is the big bombshell. I only talk about privately, but for the first time ever, I'm releasing. So thank you for holding on. He's fired thousands of CIA, FBI intelligence officers. And there are roughly almost 9 investigations happening, including people in the Supreme Court. But it's not officially happening through FBI, CIA, blah, blah. It's independently by people either retired, took the buyout, or working in the private sector. Oh, there's thousands of investigators looking into the Trump administration. And they're going to get his ass. And they're not going to be big names like Jack Smith and so on. It's going to be somebody out of Omaha, out of Fresno. It's going to be somebody out of Portland. It's going to be somebody out of Nutbush, Tennessee. It's going to be somebody out of Tampa. It's going to be somebody out of Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be somebody out of Charlotte. Somebody out of Arlington, Virginia. You get where I'm going with this? It's going to be people who from everyday towns, who are investigators, who are going to find information that Trump doesn't see, doesn't know. It's even going to be people within our own government right now. They're going to get him. I promise you. He's in trouble. It's nothing but good things coming our way. Our best days are ahead of us. Check out our next video, and check out my next video, and make sure that you definitely keep your head together. It's going to be all right. We're going to make it through this.